Good evening, this is Synergy Bonus with...
SpoonyPaladin.
Right.
Vegorax. And Thrict.
If you say
Travis. Doug. Greg.
Okay, so I'm Travis.
You're Travis.
Today. Alright.
Today. Anyways.
Today we are drinking, and as if you couldn't guess, this was not our first, Long Trail Brewing Company's Unearthed Stout.
We're still drinking it from the last episode.
It's not good, as I said before.
It is delicious.
He likes his milk coffee flavor.
Milk drinker. Milk drinker! Alright.
Well, I don't mind a good coffee stout. Anyways.
Okay, this evening we're going to be discussing a very, personal favorite, I guess we'd say?
I think it just, as a group consensus here, it's one of our favorites. Megaman 3.
Madden 5.
Yeah. But today we're talking about 3. We'll cover the other ones at a later date.
Which is, for a lot of people, their first exposure to the Mega Man franchise.
That or 2.
If they somehow missed 2, yeah.
Or 1, which was really hard to find.
That's exactly it. 1 was a very rare title, and not a lot of people played it until they went looking for it. The overwhelmingly first exposure to Mega Man
Was
that
2
most
or 3.
Westerners had was 2. But, 3 kind of took everything that 1 and 2 had built and just ran wild with it. It's a fantastic game.
And we'll touch on 1 at a different date, because that one does deserve its time in the sun. Even though 2 and 3 are far superior to it.
But it laid the groundwork for everything.
It did. It really did.
Mm-hmm.
As a group, we really like Mega Man 3. It's probably one of my favorites on the NES, followed by 2. And I personally like 4.
It was, in fact, the reason that I bought an NES.
I don't know. I wanted an NES because it was video games, and I was really young.
My brother already had one, so...
Okay, fine.
But, this is probably one of the... At the time, it was the longest Mega Man that came out. You had your 8 Robot Masters, and they did something different. They called it the Dr. Robot stages, which are slightly remixed versions of 4 different stages with the Robot Masters from Mega Man 2. So,
more specifically, Doc Robot, who's arguably one of the weaker looking sprites in the series.
he really is. I mean, the conceptual artwork is neat because it shows all the different busters from those particular Robot Masters, but like...
They kind of ran out of memory on the cartridge.
He just looks like a skull with like a brown and black body for the most part.
It's really big, bulky torso, and then I think he's got like a little C-clamp hand for an arm.
Yeah.
But he's kind of bad. But he's got all of the robot powers from Mega Man 2. And you don't have the Mega Man 2 weapons. You have to figure out weaknesses all over again. It's a lot of fun.
Mm-hmm. And it's sad to say, though, too, you do get to see the sprites from Mega Man 2. And this game was, a couple years newer than Mega Man 2. The sprites were actually refined just a little bit. So... Indeed. This game actually set the tone for the rest of the series.
More or less, yeah.
It introduced Rush, and it was probably one of the better versions of the Rush Coil, actually. I hate you. I hate you so much.
Whereas I've been holding it.
Whatever. God damn it. That was bad energy. We're not cutting. You're keeping that in. Your shame can live on the internet forever.
I have no shame.
Doing it.
I hang out with you guys. I have no shame.
What were we talking about before you fucking shit your pants?
Rush Coil is the best version. Yeah.
Rush Coil in this game was the best version. Because some of the other versions, like I'm thinking 5 in particular,
Bouncy Rush,
where you would jump on Rush would jump up, and then he would jump out, and that's not.
Yeah,
you get used to the coil.
The only one with the Rush submarine.
No. I think it was in Mega Man 4 as well.
I don't remember it. At least I didn't have it by the time I did Dive Man Stage.
Yeah, no, it definitely was in there for Dive Man. It just wasn't all that useful.
No.
Rush Marine was never useful, and I'm kind of glad
There's like a one section in the Wily stage in 4 that it was useful, and that's it. Rush Marine actually did have its uses in this one with Gemini Man's Doc Robot stage.
Okay.
And also
That's-
just Gemini Man stage, you could just take the easy route with the Rush Marine.
Yeah, could, but I wound up dying that way an awful lot.
You know what's better than Rush Marine? Rush Jet. And this was the best version of Rush Jet as well.
Upgrade item 2.
It can
Your
go
weapon is ready.
any direction. It can hover. It's great. If you happen to jump off Rush and catch him under a platform, it wouldn't drain his energy, and Rush would follow you until you got back on, then start draining the energy.
One of the few games where you can go any direction or just hover. A lot of the games, Rush would just keep
go
going forward.
And that's why I said it's the best version of Rush in this one.
Also introduced my favorite character.
Proto-Man. Proto-Man's introduced.
Breakman.
He appears in I think 3 stages? 4 stages?
Mini
4
boss 3 or 4.
4.
Yeah, 4 stages.
4 with, 4 without.
And he doesn't have a life bar. He just shows up.
He doesn't actually appear as a mini boss at all, like in Gemini Man stage. He
just
appears, but he
stands
doesn't fight you. He
Yeah.
dramatically stands and lets his little 8-bit scarf flap in the wind.
And then blasts the thing he's standing.
And then after you beat the 8 robot masters and all the Doc robots, then you can fight Breakman. And then you go into the Wily
I
stages.
will say this has one of the more odd plots in the
Yes,
series.
it does. Why don't you
Um,
tell us that?
If you're not familiar, Mega Man 1, we have the idea of these 2 scientists build what they call the Robot Master System. It's this complex android that controls a bunch of other lesser machines around it. One of them gets greedy and steals the 6 most useful Robot Masters and tries to take over the world with them.
This German bastard named Dr.Wily.
Wasn't German yet until the cartoon. But yes, Dr. Albert Wily. And the other scientist takes the more powerful of the 2 remaining robots, converts him into a fighting machine, sends him off to save the world. And it works, and it's fun, and it spawned a wonderful, wonderful franchise. Second game is actually in everywhere except the United States, subtitled Wily's Revenge. Mega Man 2.
The Game Boy version was actually titled Wily's Revenge.
And in this case, Dr. Wily comes back with 8 robot masters that are built for combat, and they break him out of jail, and Mega Man has to spring back into action and take him on. This time around, Wily said he's had enough.
He's turned over a new leaf.
He has amnesia.
He wants to. I don't think he has amnesia.
Yeah.
Depends on the version.
Yeah.
I think in the instruction manual it says he's turned over a new leaf and he wants to work for good.
So they decide to make a giant peacekeeping robot, but to power this peacekeeping robot, they need these 8 gems that are kept on different worlds. It's like Mega Man 3, Mega Man in space!
But without Terra and all those other robots.
Right. Yeah,
And that is a different game that we should talk about at some point. I don't know if anyone else has played it.
Actually, I think.
All the Game Boy ones taking place in a different timeline.
But so Mega Man is sent out to take out these different planets to take on these 8 robot masters.
It doesn't seem like different planets. It really does look like Earth-style things.
A lot of them, like Needle Man stage is very much like that. I could very much see where Snake Man stage would fit out on Earth, or Shadow Man. Where the hell would Gemini Man's planet be?
It's simple.
Pluto.
Well,
That's what it actually is, yeah.
but with all
on
the
Earth,
penguins
it
and
was
stuff like
terrestrial.
that, it could be the Arctic.
I guess it is technically the ice stage. There's some slidey ice action going on there.
Tadpoles in the Arctic.
Yeah, tadpoles that fly through the air in the
Yes.
Arctic.
They look like little sperms.
Robots.
So.
Tadpoles.
Well, we're assuming they're robots, but because these are alien planets, they might not be.
They're robots.
They're robots. Everything's a robot in this game.
Even
Even half the time, Dr. Wily's a robot.
or an alien or something.
Yeah. But sure enough, after you get the 8th gem, Wily does what Wily does, and he steals the 8 gems, and he launches Doc Robot to cover his tracks, and he steals the peacekeeping robot Gamma, and yeah, it's good times for the player, bad times for everybody who lives in this universe.
Yeah. And then the
That
Wily
was a
stage.
spoiler alert for a game that's 30 years old, by the way.
Yeah, we don't handle spoilers very well. We will be giving them a lot. So.
Have we talked about any games that have been, in the last year or 3?
Yes, we have. Pokemon.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
If you can call that spoilery, but again, this game is very good. It plays very well. It controls solid.
Except maybe for that slide function.
The slide function is another new feature, and I love it. And
I remember in Bob and George, you refused to use it.
Yeah.
I don't know.
As did I.
Makes Needleman stage a bitch.
Yes, it does.
You can't get through it without the slide, but
So you had to use it.
The sections where you have to use it, but they wanted you to use it as like part of the fighting to like slide under the bosses when they jump and stuff. Fuck that.
You can't do it in Snake Man stage because he's going up and down. You'll never be able to get under him.
Yep.
Top
Man doesn't jump at all, so what's the point?
Right. But the slide, I personally feel the slide is a useful function, and I'm glad it stayed. So, which paved way for the dash in X. So, and
dash in X is actually useful. Yeah.
Slide was useful too. So, anyways, there's not a lot bad to say about this game, but as we were actually talking about
it has a few weak points, like we talked about Doc Robot's eventual design. There are some stages where you don't see the foreground background moving like in every other game because they reach the limit of cartridge technology and memory at that
There's
time.
a lot of slowdown in certain areas. I'm thinking Top Man stage in particular.
A lot of slowdown, a lot of sprite flicker.
When the cats fire their fleas and robotic hairballs at you.
They're supposed to be yarn balls.
Yeah,
yeah. And then the part when the tops are like right before you get to his chamber, there's a lot of slowdown there. There's a section on Snake Man stage actually where you climb the ladder and there's these
pole vaulty guys slow way down.
They do too, but there's these pillars and there's little cloud things, like cloud platforms that raise up.
Very reminiscent of the thunder chariots from Airman stage.
And I remember on my copy, if I didn't jump on a particular one to like when it comes up to land on it, it would automatically throw me into the pit. Every single time. I don't know if it was different versions of the game or just that one. Now anytime I play it, it's an automatic habit for me to just jump there. Or use the rush jet.
Speaking of jump, also the only game in the series that had the Player 2 cheat.
Yes, Player 2 cheat.
Or for those of us who didn't have a little sibling that was willing to sit there for hours and watch us play, you just get a clothespin.
Or use your feet, or use your rubber
feet,
band.
as one of our friends mentioned. Rubber band. Yeah, I personally use the rubber band, but I have used the feet too.
If you're not familiar with this, what you would do is plug in the Player 2 controller and hold down right on the D-pad.
And was it right or was it up?
It was right.
I don't know. Maybe it was up.
He says
or you could be a real man and not use the fucking cheat.
I wasn't a real man at the time. I was 7.
And I was 5.
Yeah.
I ended up cracking the password system to figure out, hey, if I put a ball here, oh, look at that, I have 9 energy tanks, and here's all the bosses.
And no idea how to play the game or use their weapons. Good way to die.
Oh, no, it was Mega Man. It wasn't.
You're going to have a bad time.
Oh, yeah, I did know, Mega Man. You don't use the robot master powers. We talked about that in Mighty Number 9. It's just, yeah. Anyhow.
Speaking of the robot master powers, they're all pretty good, with the exception of Top Spin. I don't like it as a move.
It basically one-shots, I think, Shadow Man.
It's supposed to one-shot Shadow Man, but
sometimes it takes 2.
My problem is Top Spin doesn't always stay consistent with its damage code and energy consumption. There's one time, like, I don't know how the hitbox is determined.
In some of the remastered re-release anniversary editions, they've refined it some, so it actually does depending on how long you hold the button. But not originally.
I don't know. Sometimes I would hit it and then, boom, the entire energy bar is depleted, and Shadow Man's doing his little jump and shoot at you.
Jump and shoot, man.
Jump and shoot, man.
And also, it's the thing that introduced us to the fact that Mega Man has a beer gut. Something I can associate with these days.
Wait, what?
If you slow down the sprites or look at a Mega Man sprite sheet, when he's in profile, Rock has a beer gut during a top spin. It's the only time.
I'm going to have to confirm this after the fact. I think Trav has been drinking too much.
Or they were just referencing the horrible Mega Man 1 and 2.
Wait, hold up. Time out.
Crappy box art Mega Man.
When he does the top spin, he looks like this.
Yeah. Now there's a mid top spin. There's actually 4 sprites that go into doing a top spin.
So he magically generates a beer gut, or what it really is, the fact that his torso is turned halfway.
That's party foul.
That's your beer.
Oh.
That is Trav's punishment.
That is Trav's punishment.
He's attempting to weapon copy my powers here.
Yes, I don't know if I'm going to...
Now I've got your power.
We're not going to talk about the Ruby Spears.
Why not? That is a national treasure.
Right up there with Nick Cage.
Another day, maybe. I don't know.
For more on National Treasure, see our main show, Cinema Synergy.
We will not be covering that movie
We will not.
ever.
I don't know if we'll ever talk about Nicolas Cage or Megan. Nicolas Cage and Mega Man. We're talking about them together. No, let's,
Maybe if we get Wicker Man.
yeah, he would make a very pretty role.
Really?
So, if Mega Man gets Wicker Man's powers, is that going to be the bees, or is he just going to self-immolate after breaking his own legs?
Why not both?
You want to talk about Shadow Man stage before we get too far off topic here?
Yeah, we started
Bees!
talking about there were some weaknesses in it, and we mentioned Doctor about it earlier. I'm personally of the opinion that despite his popularity, Shadow Man is a weak addition to the Robot Master roster. His stage is not as good as the other stages in
I
the
mean,
game.
he's cool looking. He is really cool
He
looking.
looks
And I like the
fantastic.
fact that he's a ninja with ninja stars, but
But his attack pattern is pretty slow and lame. It's like he's a ninja. I would expect him to be fast and sneaky and all that.
Limited the cartridge.
A little bit. His weapon is literally just a watered-down, less energy-efficient metal blade from Mega Man 2. His stage, at first glance, is really dark and creepy and awesome. You're in this like, chemical warehouse and you're doing all these blind drops and stuff. But the longer you spend in it, you realize the foreground makes use of like 4 shades of tan and a little bit of red. And there is no background, it's just black. And they get even lazier with sections where the lights go out. And it's really, it's really dark, it's really monotone, it's really dull. And the only thing that really stands out from it is that they, after you've already had a serious traditional vanishing block puzzle Mega Man style in Magnet Man stage, you come up on Shadow Man stage and you see these interesting little platforms that are kind of linked in the middle, and if you stand on them too long, they pull apart and dump you in a pit. It's another goddamn vanishing block puzzle, and this time
the blocks don't vanish. They
blocks
just
don't
drop.
vanish, they just drop you, and it's less cleverly laid out. It's just a matter of getting the jumps right time. It's boring, lazy stages.
And for the most part, they're always done in the pitch black segments too.
Yep. So you don't know if you're over a pit or not, for that matter. It's just, and the music is probably one of the weakest tracks.
Until it gets to the middle of the track.
It's got a nice uptick in the middle, but you got to get that far, and you're halfway through the stage before you hear it. So compared to the other Robot Masters he's up with, Shadow Man doesn't quite stand as tall as Hard Man or even Top Man for that matter. He does stand out against later additions to the roster. I'd take him over Cement Man any day. But
Hey, but with Cement Man, you get the C-Shot, which should work on Splash Woman. Just saying. Capcom, you missed your opportunity there. No, but the Hornet Shot, so it stings her. Works.
Yeah.
Technically, shouldn't it be an S shot?
Moving on.
Moving on to what?
I
And to top it all off, Shadow Man's weakness is the dad's top spin, so you've got a 50-50 chance of wasting your whole energy bar and having to fight it the old-fashioned way anyway.
Top Spin works on 2 enemies, Shadow Man and the final boss.
Final boss, yep.
I didn't know this for years, and then my one buddy, he's like, oh yeah, just dropping them on Top Spin. I'm like, no. It's like, yes, it actually works, and I fucking tried and it worked. Because I was using the Search Snakes for years, which it's jump, oh, throw a snake in there, no, throw a snake in there.
Which makes sense. It's very reminiscent of Mega Man 2 where you had to use the lead bubble to take out Wily's alien form. And so I can see where you would have come up with that. But yeah, you can just get up there in one shot with a top spin.
And like, I didn't think the Search Snakes actually had a viable use except for the final boss. Turns out, nope, Gemini Man works pretty damn well on him.
And in the dark stages where they turn out the lights, they find holes for you. Search Snake.
Yeah, I never used them for that utility power.
Yeah, you don't use utility powers. We've covered this.
No, I don't. I pretty much just kind of run and gun through the game with
To be fair, for the move being really, really effective, if you were Wily or Shadow Man, would you really want to be touched by such a gay-ass move?
No.
Um,
I see you. I've mastered the ancient art of the top spin.
so,
Goodbye.
so Shadow Blade isn't as cool as the Metal Blade, except
Well,
that
visually it's much more cool, but it's short range.
and doesn't do as ungodly damage as
And
the
for
Metal.
whatever
also,
reason, the sound it makes when you throw it isn't nearly as satisfying.
Also, Shadow Man is not weak to his own weapon.
No, he doesn't suffer the Metal Man. I die in my one hit.
He's got that over Metal Man. I'll I'll say that.
Um,
Everything else about him is a watered down Metal Man, but he doesn't die to his own weapon.
Now, when they recently released the Mega Man Legacy Collection, and they introduced time attack modes and whatnot, and I was looking at like the leaderboards, and it's like, how can someone beat the Yellow Devil Mark II in Mega Man 3 in like 20-some seconds? Well,
Turbo controller.
no.
No.
Yes and no. One, you can watch the video of them doing it. Okay, so I watched the guy take a hit. He switches to the Metal Blade, and he's inside the Yellow Devil at this point while it's still forming. And then as soon as he appears and the eye appears at top, he jumps and then he hits the triangle button, which is the turbo button that's automatically programmed in, and it instantly kills him because it throws as many Shadow Blades as possibly can in there. And the quickest time is like 23 seconds. If you look at the leaderboard, it's between 23 and 24, and it's... I don't know, I hate leaderboards.
Yeah.
Because people hack them within...
Right.
Within minutes of anything going live, yeah.
But I don't know. That's
Like,
like...
this guy did a speed run of the game and beat the whole game in 1 second.
Oh, wow, that's impressive. I don't know, Shadow Blade, not as cool. I guess it made it cooler. Not really. But,
To be honest, I can't even remember what you're supposed to use the Shadow Blade.
Shadow Blade works well on Snake Man, and it works well on the turtles from the first
Tyler
Wily stage.
Yeah. Another spot where you might use the Rush Marine.
No,
Don't.
dear God, no. Why would you ever use the Rush Marine there?
Personal challenge. Because I've used the player 2 or 2 controller chip and I don't have a regular shot, so I'll have to use Rush Marine to get a shot. That's the downside of using that cheat we mentioned earlier. Because you're technically dead, even though the game isn't reading you as such, you can't use the Mega Buster. You're limited only to the special weapons.
You can still use the Mega Buster. Or, it's not even the Mega Buster, just your regular shots. Mega Buster can come till 4.
Yeah. The P shot.
Plasma.
Pew, pew, pew,
Pew,
pew,
pew, pew. But yeah, Mega Man 3, great game.
A lot of fun, really pretty, memorable music, tight controls.
It's when Capcom was excellent. And they were excellent into the Super Nintendo, and even the PlayStation. And then they decided to hate their fans. Us. They hated us.
They don't know.
Decided they hate Americans. But
They don't know what they're fighting for.
everlasting peace.
Two different Mega Man references right here. Anyways,
On that note.
on that note, we'll see you next time.
Good night.